With us now are Amory and Lisa, and we're going to be talking about their journey and talking about their recovery and how they're helping others. Welcome to the show. Thank you both so much. Lisa, we met at a play in Port Jefferson, and when I heard about Thrive in your organization, I said, please come on, so thank you very much. What is Thrive? Tell us about that.
Sure. So Thrive is a recovery community outreach center. So what that really means is we're a community center for people who are in recovery, who are looking for recovery, who are looking for a connection to something to help them sustain that recovery, but who are also looking for to refine their purpose, to re-engage and give back.
And Amory, how did you first hear about the group?
That's a great question, actually. I heard about it just shortly before its inception through just being a member of the recovery community, and went to the grand opening, was incredibly impressed by the space and the people that I met there, and came on board a couple months after the inception of Thrive. Yeah.
One of the things I asked you about is if we could have not just a surface level conversation, but if you would be vulnerable with me and kind of just talk us through to your own personal journey, because I thought through that it would be really inspirational, and you
Sure.
said yes, so
Yeah.
thank you. So Amory, could you please start a little bit for us?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a person in recovery from a substance use disorder as well as mental health challenges. So my story is very similar to many other people's. I started at a fairly young age. I started using substances at age 9 and used until age 20 about. My journey brought me through many of the many circumstances that most people go through: institutions, psych wards, hospitals, legal issues, familial issues, homelessness, and around the age of 20, I through a series of events, I came to find recovery.
Okay. And Lisa, how about you?
So I actually started pursuing a degree in social work a couple years ago. Oh my gosh, 7-something years ago. And I really wanted to focus on substance use as a primary issue, because I knew wherever I went, I would see that. And growing up in the theater world and playing in bands and whatnot, I saw it everywhere. But what's interesting is I kind of started my journey from the clinical side, the social work side, which was, I just want to help people and be an expert in helping people. And I started doing peer work, and it started to challenge me quite a bit, because I actually am in recovery from mental health diagnoses, a few actually, that tie quite beautifully, if you will, into substance use. But I've never had to really deal with that, and I found that I've never seen any change in another person happen so meaningfully and so quickly than I have through peer engagement. That it almost doesn't. It matters what experience you have and what education you have and how do you help people effectively, but what matters more is being able to genuinely understand and empathize with somebody who's suffering with some of the most traditionally stigmatized issues. There's really nothing more healing than just sitting with somebody, eye to eye, ear to ear, same level, that can bring so much hope and so much insight to somebody in the throes of any kind of illness, but especially substance use disorder.
And without judgment. You know,
Right.
a lot of times what ends up happening is like you were talking about family issues and people don't understand, and those types of situations sometimes just break any connections that you have. So you're left almost, I don't want to get teary already, my goodness. You're left almost alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like either abandoned, or you just decide that it's not for you and you check out.
Yep.
And it's leading to a lot of suicides, either accidental overdoses, but also a lot of times people are saying, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just done. You know, and for us, I was talking about the fact that in the media, all we hear about the fatalities. Rarely do we get to hear about people that are helping people, as you say, thrive.
Yep.
Right? So I just couldn't wait to have you on the show. Tell us about the process. Like, how does somebody come to you? How do they get help with you?
Sure, so there's really no wrong door. We're
Okay.
a community center. We're open 7 days a week. You can walk in and just say, hey, what's up? Just trying to check out what's going on. You can check out our calendar, which is actually on our website, but we also do printed versions of that. We have something going on every single day, whether it's anything from meditation to exercise to any kind of educational groups, job readiness, resume building. So depending on where you're at and what you're looking for, we have an acting class, we have mind, body, spirit, everything. Or you can just walk in and you can sit down with somebody one-on-one if that's a little too intimidating to walk into a group, which we know it is for some people. Sit down one-on-one with someone who's a certified recovery peer advocate or a CERPA trained peer, and get that one-on-one attention and figure out how it is you fit in the community or where you fit and what you want to do. And what essentially ends up happening for a lot of people is they come as participants and they start, gaining from the resources we're providing, and then they say, I want to get more involved, and they become volunteers. And then our volunteers become peer leaders, and then our peer leaders become our staff people, and that's kind of how the community grows.
It's fabulous, it really is. And what have you seen changes in yourself since the first time you started until now? What growth have you personally had?
Yeah, it's a great question. Somebody told me once, if you want really effective therapy, become a therapist, right? Because we come up against so much stuff within ourselves. And I almost like clients, I caught myself, individuals. I don't think the individuals that we serve ever believe me when I tell them that I'm getting so much more out of this than you are, because I've been on both sides, right? I've been in that chair and I've been in this chair, and I can tell you right now that I receive so much more benefit on this side, being the person who's able to lend a hand, than I do on that side. The actual benefits, like concrete benefits, are huge. Not only in my own, like how do I move through life and what are my values and what do I really cherish and what are the things that actually really nurture my soul. Those things have become so much more apparent as I see people again and again who I get to facilitate them along their own journey of discovering that for themselves. So I get to kind of redo it every time I sit with somebody and be like, oh yes, me too.
Reaffirms it in yourself.
Yeah, me too.
There's a gratitude that comes with this work. I mean, it's the hardest job to do, because we see, the human lifespan almost like on all fronts, and our sense of, life and death is challenged daily. But at the same time, there's so much gratitude to be had in being a part of someone's life, especially in their most vulnerable of times, that there's so much growth to be had just as a human being. And I tell people all the time, like, to get involved, like, the only thing you need to do to help anyone is genuinely care and be a human being and actually connect and make that attempt to be present for others. And that's what Thrive's all about.
Any challenges, like somebody come to you and they're in full crisis and then, they need to be surrounded by, like you said, some support and resources. Also a possibility, like if somebody's really like in just desperate need and you might be their last phone call, it's okay, call and go.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a great question because so just a little background on how Thrive came to be was a partnering through a couple of different organizations. Obviously, if somebody calls and they're in a full-on crisis, we're going to recommend they call an ambulance, or we're going to call an ambulance for them, and so we know when that's appropriate to do. But if we get somebody who's kind of on the edge, like, you might need a little bit more than this, because peer work is not meant to replace treatment. It's meant to be used in conjunction with treatment or post-treatment, right? So it's how do we make sure we're filling all the gaps, right? So if somebody comes and it seems like they may need further support than what we're able to offer at Thrive, we have a couple of different organizations that partner to make Thrive possible to have offices within Thrive.
Perfect.
One of those organizations is LICAD, Long Island Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence. They've been around for 60 plus years, and they employ clinicians who are there as clinicians. And so if somebody comes in who's either clearly under the influence or really just needs a higher level of care than what we can offer, instead of just handing them a phone number and say, here, call this number, which we know is just not
They may
very
or may not
effective.
call, right, exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
and, or maybe this was the last effort. Like maybe coming there was the last effort, and they're like, if this doesn't work, I can't do it anymore. And you hand them a number and say, call this, and they're like, well, I tried and it didn't work. And so instead of that, if we can walk them over to LICAD's office and sit them down, and they can actually meet with a clinician.
Right. So Thrive is so much more than even just a building. Like it's a place to go, but it's really more of a community. It's an idea. It's a partnership formally between LICAD, Long Island Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, FIST, Families in Supportive Treatment, LIRA, the Long Island Recovery Association, and Family and Children's Association, all of which have different really specialties or skills that they do. And they all kind of met to create this like love child of Thrive. And it's so much more than even just those partners, because even though they're our primary partners, we have the rest of the community is also working with us, the local treatment centers, the local sober homes, the local businesses and people who want to get involved. Like it's more than just this building. It's an idea that people bring outside into the community and then bring back kind of to support. So
just like today, you guys, like today was like a field trip. It's like out,
This is all Thrive.
Yeah, this is all
part
Thrive. And in our small way, we wanted to at least just, bring the story to life here, maybe give some exposure to people that don't know about you yet, that could, because there's so many people that are really, truly, so many people are hurting and they just need a place to go. So it's really lovely what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so
Cool.
let me, just so, I don't know if you're aware, but Thrive is actually an acronym. So before we go further, I'll let you and any viewers know.
Okay.
Thrive stands for Transformation, Healing, Recovery, Inspiration, Validation, and Empowerment.
Woohoo!
Ooh, yeah, I got it all right. Woo, I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
But I got it all
I don't
right.
have to do it.
And that's really, truly, like all those models, that every one of those words, it was very intentionally crafted, right?
I love
those
it.
words are really what are driving the forces of Thrive.
I say this all the time, and it just tickles me with excitement. That thrive is a verb, right? Like, so it's not it implies action and implies movement. And I just love that the word itself is the embodiment of what we're trying to bring to our people and the community.
Well, I thank you both so much. Very lovely, really authentic, and totally spot on. So is there anything else that you would want me to share with the audience that maybe I didn't ask you, or anything that comes to mind?
The one thing that I don't know if was mentioned is that everything's free.
Okay.
So we're open 7 days a week, which I know was mentioned, but we're free. So there's no insurance, no co-pays, nothing. You just come in, and even if you just want to come in, get a cup of coffee and leave, we're open. So.
Right, and our tagline is we're all recovering from something. So we won't ask you. You don't have to fill out any major paperwork. You don't even have to sign in with your real name. Although you do have to sign in, but it doesn't have to be your real name. And just show
Very
up.
welcoming.
And yeah, if you're looking for any kind of recovery, whether it's mental health, substance use, or other, we're here for you.
Excellent. Saving lives and saving your own, right?
Yep.
Love it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa and A-Marie, we've been visiting with them. Please, even in your own communities all around the world, you could start something like this in your own community. Reach out to them and they'll teach you how. Thanks for watching Live It Up.